Fedrid Folly is going to be the map today, and we've got Scrap Goblin playing as the Warlock, walking the witch path that leads to war, alongside some of his beautiful little guardians. Aren't they adorable? Little Eldari, Craftworld Eldari citizens, and they unfortunately are going to be facing a rather Slaneshi looking sorcerer here. I think our football team scored. So yeah, that's going to be Bjorn who's going to be playing the sorcerer here, and yeah, I'm going to be right back to shut my door. I just thought I'll keep this in, because why not? It's good for you guys to know what I have to put up with. Oh, the things that we have to put up with. Jeez. Okay, so what's going on? Not a whole lot, actually. Not too much action. Did we get a scrap over here? We got the Guardians hiding away in the building here. CSM not fully in cover. Come on, Bjorn. Get your CSM in cover. Seems to be a suboptimal destructor there. I feel like it should have done more damage, but somehow he kills two of them with his magic psychic hands. Chaos Sorcerer, not wanting to be left behind there, is going to try and kill a few Guardians with his psychic balls. No, psychic hands. Wow, a lot of dead Banshees here. I guess the CSM were shooting the Banshees whilst they were fighting heretics. Seems a bit sloppy. I'm not sure why he couldn't have just engaged the CSM first. But then if he was lucky, he would proc the specials on the CSM and then could yeet some heretics. I don't know. It's kind of a dangerous engagement either way. Actually kind of surprised the Guardians didn't do better against the CSM there, given it didn't even look like they were fully in cover. First Shuriken's going to be out, no gens up for either player yet. Noise Marines are going to be the first choice for Born. Why am I meant to say this? Is it Born or is it Bjorn? There's no J, so it's not Bjorn, is it? But then there's a fucking apostrophe. Fuck's sake. Look, I'm blaming Europe for that. I'm British, so this is something we do quite often. When we fail to get South Asians to assimilate correctly into our post-colonial society, you know, after we conquered all of fucking India and Pakistan, we just blame Europe. That's Europe's fault. Somehow that blame the European Supreme Court. My inability to understand how to pronounce this, I'm blaming Europe. This shouldn't be like this. This should be British, and this should be easy to understand, and that apostrophe should fuck off. Anyway, the Noise Marines seem to agree that someone should fuck off. They think the Shuriken should fuck off. That was a beautiful play, actually. Ooh, I feel like that was a... Oh. Dude, I'm tripping. I thought the Noise Marines retreated there. They didn't, the Banshees did. I was going to say that would be a very premature retreat from the Noise Marines, given their cacophony was still on and active. But I like the play, yeah, forces off the Shuriken easily with the infiltration so that he could get into range with his Noise Marines to shut down and silence those weapons. God, Heretics nearly getting wrecked over here, jeez. And then, of course, he knows the Banshees are going to be tying up the Noise Marines, so he lands a beautiful Doom Bolts in their path. I'm really quite shocked to not see any Aspiring Champion Heretics so far. You think the Banshees would be able to get away with a bit more. One thing I will say is I'm not sure that the Guardians are really achieving a whole lot here. The good thing for Scrap Goblin, though, is he didn't have a lot of generators built. It's not like he had a full free gen farm here, so this whole push from the Noise Marines isn't too bad for him. He does have this side power node as well. I think if I was Scrap Goblin, I would be getting the Merciless Witchblade on my Warlock and having him in these fights, because there's not really too much to deal with him. He would be a great way to tie up the Noise Marines. Ooh, this is risky for these Banshees. No Aspiring Champion though, so the output from these Heretics isn't tremendous. Looks like they got a lucky special and knocked two of them back as well. But yeah, I think I'd rather have the Warlock in these fights helping type the Noise Marines, not bleeding, and then you can just use one of your Guardians to deal with the other side-capping Heretics. It's a little bit more micro-intensive because the Warlock can just A-move into side-capping Heretics, Whereas if you A-move Heretics and Guardians, then the Guardians will lose, because obviously they're going to get into melee before they can actually kill the Heretics. But generally, it's not like a Heretic counters a Guardian. As long as you micro, they shouldn't be able to catch it. I don't really feel like the dual Guardians has achieved too much in the actual mainline combat here. We shall see. Nice positioning here on the Shuriken, but yeah, it's countered pretty damn well, isn't it, by the Infiltration Worship here, enabling the Noise Marines to close in with ease. Very heavy tier 1 here from Bjorn. The name's triggering me. I might just swap between calling him Bjorn and calling him Born repeatedly. Goes for the Havoc, so he's got the 5-unit tier 1, but then he also grabs the Vestments of the Warp. I suppose he hasn't actually got any Aspiring Champion Heretics, and at the end of the day, the default Heretics are the cheapest unit in the game, so if you want to do a heavy tier 1, I guess it's not that heavy if you're running around with Heretics. He's also not reinforcing the Heretics fully, is he? Or is that intentional? I don't know. Maybe that's intentional, maybe not. Could be intentional because he knows he's getting the Aspiring Champion. They'll be perfectly sufficient to beat the Banshees with 7 models, or 2, doesn't really matter. Man, these Noise Marines are putting in some amazing work. They're doing great for him. They've bashed loads already. Another play that he could make here is he could sort of bait out the Banshees, get all of the Eldar army bogged up over here, sneak off the Sorcerer with teleport, and then use Warp to teleport the Noise Marines to the Gen Farm, while nothing can defend it. Pretty good positioning here from the Havoc. I don't believe that anything has identified the Havoc yet. I don't think Scrap Goblin's seen it. Scrap Goblin's gone for a second Shuriken. He had his Guardians capping up this part of the map. They've advanced onto the Gen Farm and are getting a bit of a Gen bash off. Looks like they got one of the Gens. So probably going to wait here for the double Heretics to engage in melee with the Banshees. I thought he was going to then teleport onto the Guardians with the Sorcerer to rout them promptly, but it doesn't really matter. The melee charge here is going to enable the Heretics to close the distance. Unfortunately, they're a bit staggered, so the first Doom Blast didn't suppress the Guardians and forced a second Doom Blast. A little bit slow on the retreat there from the Guardians. Wow, loses 3 models for that. Yeah, I don't know why he didn't retreat earlier. I mean, as soon as you seen them charging at you, literally, I mean, with the melee charge, you should have retreated, because then you know you can't actually escape. You need to kite them prior to that, such that they can't proc the melee charge. We're going to have a warp here, so the Havoc forced off the Warlock there that went to cap. The downside is everything's already here to prevent it, so the timing of the warp's a bit bad here. Yeah, this wasn't the time to do the warp. I mean, he can tie up the Shuriken with his teleport. He kind of misplayed this. He should have teleported in sooner so that these guys weren't suppressed. This has caused them to have a fairly significant downtime on their attacks here. So we've got another Shuriken trying to sit up on the side. It's a bit awkwardly positioned though. And honestly, I don't know about these Banshees. They're in a bit of a tricky spot. Nice AoE damage coming out from the Sonic Blaster there. Of course, you can Cacophony. You got a bit of pew pew coming in from the CSM. Okay, but the other Shuriken is rotating. Wow, nice play here from Bjorn. Wow, really, yeah, nice, impressive play. He's got the frame of mind here not to just panic, and he's moving his units very well. Rotates the CSM out of the arc of fire of that Shuriken and actually forces it off with melee. Good awareness by him here. Didn't want to risk going into melee with the Guardians there because of potentially eating a grenade. So retreat straight out with very little losses, honestly. He didn't have full models on this squad anyway. Oh, he lost 2 Noise Marines. Well, oh, he had already lost them anyway. I don't know where he lost them exactly, but when he teleported them in, he only had 1 model. So overall, beautiful play from Born. I wonder how this game is going to turn around. I mean, so far, Scrap Goblin is actually doing quite well on VPs. He's definitely ahead on VPs. Maybe he's going to play a bit more of a VP game. Can be a tricky map to deal with webway gates, that's for sure. I do feel like it's a lost opportunity for Scrap Goblin here, that he hasn't actually gotten any war gear on his Warlock. Perhaps he really enjoys the Witchblade of Kurnos in tier 2, I'm not sure. Personally, if I'm fighting Noise Marines and a Chaos Sorcerer, I think the Merciless Witchblade and Champion's Robes is really too hard to pass up. Again, seems like 2 very unnecessary, now 3 very unnecessary model losses there on the Guardians. I feel like they could have retreated a lot sooner and not took those model losses. Doesn't overcommit with the Banshees there, pulls back, baiting them into the Shuriken, but there is a Blood Crusher. Blood Crusher is going to aggressively charge. He's actually knocking the Noise Marines forward, and obviously Shurikens do more damage the closer the target is. That's going to be a dead Noise Marine. The Banshees are going to move straight into the... Oh god, that's rough. Blood Crusher's hitting the Exarch. She will live. She's not high in HP. That was a dumb Banshee. She deserved to die. Wow, 2 Banshees killed. Man, this is a lot of Eldar bleed. A lot of Eldar bleed. Fortunately, Banshees, for some reason, in Elite Mod, very cheap right now. 30 requisition. I guess, I mean, their performance isn't very good. It probably is justified. I find it cringe for Eldar to trade so well. I mean, you can see Eldar's been bleeding loads this game, and they're not that far behind economically, which feels, design-wise, it should be wrong. Anyway, nice Dark Flames down there to deter that Shuriken. I'm not sure the value of that, really, because you got all the gens anyway. You're going to have to retreat soon. You've retreated most of your forces. Is it worth spending all that red just to push off a Shuriken when the base is right next to them? I don't think so. I find that a bit weird. I think saving the red there for the amazing Demonic Summoning Global for a big army versus army fight would have been a lot more valuable. This whole time we had some battle equipment Guardians once again capping the side of the map. They pushed onto the gen farm, and actually Scrap Goblin's getting a nice bit of gen trading going on here. Unfortunately, his gen trading is a lot later than what Born has done to Scrap Goblin, so not too impactful. I'm also noting that the difference here in requisition between the players is quite clear. Born has been bleeding far less than Scrap Goblin. You can see that with the lack of requisition that Scrap Goblin has at the moment. So he's gone for a Bright Lance for his AV source against the Blood Crusher. Of course, he has the aspect of strength there, so he's got heavy melee on the Banshee Exarch as well. Well, a bit of a failed Doom Blast there. Didn't suppress the Warlock. And of course, he's got that Kernas. Here it comes, Ethereal Slash. Did that just rip a CSM apart? Indeed it did. And he kills another. And it killed a lot of heretics. And that's why, you know, the Ethereal Slash, the Witchblade of Kernas, is very nice against Chaos as well. So, you know, I can respect it if he just values this wargear so much in Tier 2 that regardless of what he sees in Tier 1, he'd rather just wait to get this in Tier 2 so he doesn't go for Merciless Witchblade in Tier 1. I've said what I think. I think Merciless Witchblade is too good to pass in Tier 1, regardless. But there you go. Not sure what this Shuriken's doing exactly. Seems a bit confused with its positioning when it's got a Blood Crusher chasing it. Again, that's one of those instances where I feel like that thing should have retreated a long time ago. Probably lost another model unnecessarily there. Now this is miss micro. This isn't like a decision not to retreat. Goblin just realizing, again, he could have just retreated this strip. Goblin, you got a problem, brother. You keep retreating way too late. So obviously he missed microed and the Guardians went into melee too early there. That's fine. We can't, you know, we don't expect people to have magically perfect micro. But then he clearly walked the Guardians away with this guy still chasing and didn't retreat until the Blood Crusher had killed another model. And it's like, dude, if you retreated and you had the extra speed, I bet the Blood Crusher wouldn't have even killed that model. That was a default Heretic squad, and it just got one shot by the Ethereal Slash, because that's what happens if you don't have an aspiring champion. Hey, it's the cheapest squad in the game, so wrecked. Level 5 Warlock. I'd like to see the Cloak of Shadows, given that Born, surprisingly for a Chaos player, has quite a reliance on ranged assets right now, with the Noise Marines, the CSM, and the Havoc. If you get Cloak of Shadows, it not only gives you 50% damage resistance to ranged on your Warlock, but it also gives, I believe, 20% to nearby Eldar. Maybe it's 15%. It's a lot if you're buffing, you consider you're buffing an entire army here. But a little bit of mismicro again from Goblin, potentially going to lose his Warlock here to the CSM Bolters. Indeed he is. What is he focusing on? He's focusing over here because the Blood Crusher's running rampant. Probably got a good charge there onto the AV, and the Bright Lance is now getting tied up in the base. No, it's not. It is the Shuriken that's getting tied up in the base, but it's going to be very difficult without support for them to do too much. Oh! But a mistake now from Born. Looking at his Blood Crusher, doesn't notice a Wraith Lord has arrived to kill his Noise Marines. I was going to say, the Banshees did arrive. Ooh, is he going to get out? Wow. 12 HP. That was clutch. He was a little bit late on that teleport out. He was very greedy there, I think, to try and kill that Webway Gate in the base. Would not have been worth losing his Blood Crusher, I'm telling you. That Blood Crusher is going to be a nice asset now to help put a little bit of pressure on the Wraith Lord. Now, Blood Crusher obviously 1v1 will get absolutely smashed by a Wraith Lord. The Wraith Lord does more damage, it's got way more HP, I mean, we're talking nearly double. And the Wraith Lord has full melee resist and the Blood Crusher has none, but the thing is, the Blood Crusher can have that constant 10 HP regen, which is going to help it quite a lot. Now, we're seeing a Mark of Khorne Chaos Dreadnought right now, which is a little bit unfortunate actually, because it currently is bugged, meaning it doesn't have the full melee resist that it should. I believe it only gets the 20% melee resist that the default Chaos Dreadnought should get, when it should get the 40% melee resist. That, my friends, was a good Dark Flames. Wiping a unit on retreat that otherwise he wouldn't have wiped. A little bit sad to lose the Sorcerer there, given that he's just put that Warp Fire Rod in him as well. Do we have any AV on the Havoc yet? No, we don't. Okay. Probably going to want a Blast Cannon on that Havoc to deal with this Wraith Lord. Wraith Lord's quite annoying because it's got that Bright Lance, so it can just sit back in range stance and pew pew at your Dreadnought. And we're not the Plague Champion, so the Worship won't heal the Dreadnought. It's only going to heal... Wait, yeah, it's only going to heal the Blood Crusher. I mean, even with the 20% melee resist, I think the Chaos Dreadnought should win against the Wraith Lord. I think, maybe? I don't know. This is why it's unfortunate. Obviously, if it had the full 40% melee resist it should have, it would easily win. Oh, I don't know about this engagement. Yeah, the Wraith Lord's going to kill that Blood Crusher. That Bright Lance is proving very problematic. We need more AV from Born. He's kept the Heavy Bullet to try and control the Warlock, and it's certainly doing that job, but... This is tricky. The Wraith Lord's still shooting away at the Dreadnought. He's going to need some more AV. He's going to need ranged AV. Whether that's Plague Marines, whether that's a Las Cannon, he teleports out the Dreadnought. It does get out before the final Bright Lance hit comes in. Can the Heretics finish off this Webber Gate? They're desperate for it. They are. They're going to lose their lives for this shit. Have they got Fleet of Foot? Yeah, I don't think they need it. I was going to say they could always use swift movement from the Warlock Global Bar as well. They don't need it. So this is a problem for Born. He's overcommitting to trying to kill these Webber Gates. Look, I know Webber Gates are fucking annoying. They're very, very awkward to deal with and very frustrating. Oh, that was not a good warp fire. Oh, Born's really capitulating right now. Replaces his Heretics because he needs to, because he needs repair support for his Dreadnought. But they're going to be repairing that thing for ages. Like 2 minutes. No, surely not that long. I don't know, I'm having a brain fart right now. 10 HP a second. Yeah. Wow. They're going to be repairing that thing for like 2 minutes. Oh my god, that's a nightmare. That's so bad. That's a problem. That's a problem. So now 2 of his units are out of action. Okay, he got another Heretic squad. Fair enough. Yeah, well that will speed the process up quite tremendously. Which is good because he needs these units on the field. The good thing for Born is he is ahead in VPs naturally, but yeah, I don't know how long that's going to be the case if he's got 2 of his 4 units in the base. Now the problem is he's got more units now. He decided to get double Heretics, but you know, they're not going to be very good, are they? Like, default Heretics are the cheapest unit in the game, and Aspiring Champion Heretics are great at dominating tier 1 fights, but when they're level 1, they're not going to do too much in tier 2, let's be honest. There's now Warp Spiders for Scrap Goblin. This composition from Scrap Goblin looks so hard to defeat with Born's composition right now. Like, he needs Plague Marines, that's what he needs. But this composition's great anyway, because these spiders would counter Plague Marines, because Plague Marines are best countered with high piercing DPS range units, which is exactly what these are. And guess what they also counter? They're heretics, which they can melt very easily. So let's see how this goes. They've took so much, the Condress took so much damage in closing in with the Bright Lance shooting both from the Wraith Lord and the setup team. The setup team variant looks like it's getting forced off here by the Sorcerer, but looking at the bottom right, you can see the Sorcerer is very close to dying. Probably going to get taken out in retreat by the Wraith Lord. Bop, killed. And there is no repair support here for the Khorne Dreadnought. It is not going to be able to 1v1 the Wraith Lord. I don't think the Khorne Dreadnought right now can even 1v1 the Wraith Lord without all the support, but when there's a Bright Lance firing at the Dreadnought as it closes in, and the Wraith Lord's getting off pot shots with its shoulder-mounted Bright Lance, and there is a Haywire Grenade, and you're relying on just your Khorne Dreadnought to beat the Wraith Lord, even if the Khorne Dreadnought wasn't bugged, it would have had absolutely no chance in that situation there, so very unfortunate. Where was the Havoc? Okay, look, I like the defensive use of the Havoc. I think Born got a lot of value out of that, but it's undeniable that in these fights, this Wraith Lord was dominating. He needed to get a las cannon on this thing and get rid of that Wraith Lord. That had to be the top priority, and he didn't do it. And if you want to keep the heavy bolter, fine. Don't go for the Dreadnought. You've got to get Plague Marines. But even with Plague Marines, you've only got one source of AV then. You're generally going to need two to take out any vehicle in a high-level game. So, yeah, I don't know. I question the players there. If he had Plague Marines, then he could go for a Dreadnought afterwards and could get a Tzeentch Dreadnought, and then he'd be really good against the Wraith Lord. It's a shame that the Khorne Dreadnought's bugged, and obviously Born doesn't realise that, but I don't think really it was ever a good choice in this situation. It was always very compositionally vulnerable to what Scrap Goblin had. But anyway, there you go, folks. That's going to be all from your boy Torpid this time. If you want more of this kind of thing, you know where to find it. You can get it by joining the Patreon, where you'll have access to probably around 40 high-level 1v1 casts that are exclusive to that by the time this comes up. And hey, you're going to be supporting the channel, which is greatly appreciated. That is going to be all from your boy Torpid this time. I am signing out.